سیدہ طاہرہ راضیہ، سیدہ طاہرہ مرضیہ، سیدہ طاہرہ فاطمہ، سیدہ طاہرہ راضیہ، سیدہ طاہرہ مرضیہ، سیدہ طاہرہ فاطمہ، یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا، یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا، یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا۔
حق مانگنے دربار میں بلوایا گیا ہے، یہ اجر رسالت تمہیں امت نے دیا ہے، تم روئی تو ہنستے رہے کیا ظلم کیا ہے سرخ اسی غم میں ہوا گنبد خضرا، کیا ظلم و ستم تم پہ تھا مخدوم عالم، دن شب میں بدل جائے اگر سہلے تیرا غم، کیوں کرنا زادار کرے نوحہ ماتم، کم ہے جو کرے حشر تلک گرے آؤ پرسا، صدقہ جو تیرے در کا صدا کھاتے رہے ہیں، جو تیرے غلاموں کی غلامی میں پلے ہیں، اب مردہ ضمیری کی مجھ میں یہ بنے ہیں، بے ظرف بھلا بیٹھے ہے احسان خدیجہ، عالم کے لیے آیا نبی بن کے جو رحمت، کنبے پہ اسی کے ہی ہوئی کیسی قیامت، محسن کی شہادت کا سبب بن گئی امت، جو حرمت کعبہ تھا اسی در کو جلایا، تحریر نبی پھاڑ کے اس طرح ستایا، حسنین کو جھٹلا دیا اور تم کو رلایا، اس پہ بھی جفا کرتے ہوئے خوف نہ کھایا، کہتے ہو جسے خود بھی نبی ام ابیہا، غم فاطمہ زہرا نہ بچھائے، جب خاک اڑاتی تھی ہر ایک سمت ہوائیں، تھی نوح کنا شہر مدینہ کی فضائیں، جلتا ہوا در آپ کے پہلو پہ گرایا۔ کیسے قیامت کا وہ منظر، حق مانگنے دربار گئی بنت پیغمبر، بدبخت شقی بیٹھا رہا تخت کے اوپر، پڑھتے تھے ملائک بھی سر عرش یہ نوحہ۔
فاطمہ زہرا، اے فاطمہ زہرا، اے فاطمہ زہرا، اے فاطمہ زہرا، اے زہرا، ہے زہرا، اے زہرا، ہے زہرا۔
رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا، ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا،
رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا، ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا، ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا۔
بابا کو تجھے نہ رونے دیا،
بابا کو تجھے نہ رونے دیا، ہے مخدومہ، ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا، ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا، ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا۔
سوکھے بھی نہیں آنسو تیرے اب اور رلانے آئے ہیں، تیرے بابا کی امت ہی دروازہ جلانے آئی ہے، پہلو پہ گرایا دروازہ،
پہلو پہ گرایا دروازہ، ہے مخدومہ، ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا، ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا، ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا۔
دروازہ گرایا ہے ایسے پسلی بھی تمہاری ٹوٹ گئی، ظالم نے تمہارے چہرے پر مارا ہے تماچا شہزادی، محسن بھی تیرا زندہ نہ رہا،
محسن بھی تیرا زندہ نہ رہا، ہے مخدومہ، ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا، ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا، ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا۔
حق چھین لیا تیرا بیوی جب یاد کبھی یہ آتا ہے، سوچوں جو کبھی میں وہ منظر دل بھی یہ میرا تھراتا ہے، دربار میں تجھ کو جھٹلایا،
دربار میں تجھ کو جھٹلایا، ہے مخدومہ، ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا، ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا،
تھے فرشتے اور نبی، تابوت اٹھایا حیدر نے، میت کو تیری تنہائی میں جب دفن کیا تھا حیدر نے، ہوتا تھا جنت میں نوحہ،
ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عطا، ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عطا، ہے زہرا ہے زہرا۔
بابا کے تیرے احسان سبھی کس طرح مسلمان بھول گئے، اے رحمت عالم کی بیٹی یہ تجھ پہ مصائب کی حد ہے، تربت بھی تیری ہے بے سایہ،
تربت بھی تیری ہے بے سایہ، ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عطا، ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عطا، ہے زہرا ہے زہرا۔
جانے سے تمہارے اے بیوی گھر میں تو عجب ویرانی تھی، بچے بھی تمہارے چھوٹے تھے جب ان پہ نظر پڑ جاتی تھی، کہتے تھے علی ہے زہرا،
ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عطا، ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عطا، ہے زہرا ہے زہرا۔
کس طرح کریم بیان کروں ٹوٹی جو قیامت زہرا پہ، دن پر وہ مصائب پڑھتے تو تاریک شبوں میں ڈھل جاتے، ہے واویلا ہے واویلا،
ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عطا، ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عطا، ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، ہے زہرا ہے زہرا۔
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا يحيى خذ الكتاب بقوة وآتيناه الحكم صبيا وحنانا من لدنا وزكاة وكان تقيا وبرا بوالديه ولم يكن جبارا عصيا وسلام عليه يوم ولد ويوم يموت ويوم يبعث حيا واذكر في الكتاب مريم إذ انتبذت من أهلها مكانا شرقيا فاتخذت من دونهم حجابا فأرسلنا إليها روحنا فتمثل لها بشرا سويا قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا قال إنما أنا رسول ربك لأهب لك غلاما زكيا قالت أنى يكون لي غلام ولم يمسسني بشر ولم أك بغيا قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين ولنجعله آية للناس ورحمة منا وما كان أمرا مقضيا فحملته فانتبذت به مكانا قصيا فأجاءها المخاض إلى جذع النخلة قالت يا ليتني مت قبل هذا وكنت نسيا منسيا فناداها من تحتها ألا تحزني قد جعل ربك تحتك سريا وهزي إليك بجذع النخلة تساقط عليك رطبا جنيا صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Friday, 7 January 2022, 3rd Jamadil Akhir 1443. Program online as follows. Sunday, 9th January, Majlis at Watford Kabristan at 2 p.m. The Jamaat is pleased to launch its latest short course, The Incredible Four Cools. Conducted by Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Ali Ismail. The course will cover many aspects of these amazing surahs, including the background of their revelation, their spiritual impact, and how they are relevant to us today. The course will be held online on Tuesdays, 11th, 18th, and 25th of January, and finally on 1st of February. They will take place from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. For more information and to apply, please visit hujj.at/courses. Spaces are very limited. Thursday, 13 January, Jumeirah program at 8 p.m. with Surah Yasin, Majlis by Syed Muhammad Rizvi. Please recite 5 times Ami Yujibul for all those who are unwell. Brother Muhammad Raza Lakha, a Mu'min by very ill in Arusha, and for all those who are unwell. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. 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 اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Lastly, the Al-Zahra Center have arranged Urdu Majalis on Saturday, 8th of January at 4:30 p.m. starting with Maghribain Salah, followed by Majalis by Maulana Syed Sibtain Kazmi. Majalis is in relation to Shahadat of Bibi Fatema Al-Zahra Salamullahi alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Asad.
صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. बीबी ज़हरा ये दुआ है. बीबी ज़हरा ये दुआ है. आपके दरबार में बीबी ज़हरा ये दुआ है. बीबी ज़हरा ये दुआ है. दस्ते दुआ को जब भी उठाया मांगा है तेरी चादर का साया. वक्त मुसीबत में हर हुसैनी بس نام تیرا ہونٹوں پہ لایا. اے میری بیوی دنگ دست ہوں میں، یہ کہہ کے دامن پھیلا دیا ہے. بی بی زہرا یہ دعا ہے، بی بی زہرا یہ دعا ہے. آپ کے دربار میں بی بی زہرا یہ دعا ہے. وہ بی بی جس کی ہے گود خالی، چوکٹ پہ تیری ہے وہ سوالی. مجھ کو بھی دے دے ازغر کا صدقہ، میں نے تیرے در سے لولا لگا لی. اے میری بیوی جن گودیوں میں اولاد ہے وہ تیری عطا ہے. بی بی زہرا یہ دعا ہے، بی بی زہرا یہ دعا ہے. آپ کے دربار میں بی بی زہرا یہ دعا ہے. آج رخصت ہو رہی ہے تم سے زہرا یا علی. آج رخصت ہو رہی ہے تم سے زہرا یا علی. پردے شب میں میری میت اٹھانا یا علی. آج رخصت ہو رہی ہے تم سے زہرا یا علی. پسلیاں توڑی گئی کیسے یہ بتلاؤں گی میں. حشر کے میدان میں بھی اس حال میں آؤں گی میں. ہاتھ پہلو سے نہ تم میرا ہٹانا یا علی. آج رخصت ہو رہی ہے تم سے زہرا یا علی. وہ مصیبت اپنے اچھا ہوا دیکھی نہیں. اب میں سیدھے ہاتھ سے تسبیح پر سکتی نہیں. ایسا کن فزنے ہے مارا تازیانہ یا علی. آج رخصت ہو رہی ہے تم سے زہرا یا علی. کہتی ہے زینب یہ مجھ سے دیکھ کر چہرہ میرا، آپ کے رخسار پر یہ نیل ہے کیسا پرا. ارے میں نے کھایا ہے تماچا مت بتانا یا علی. آج رخصت ہو رہی ہے تم سے زہرا یا علی. تازیانے کی اذیت کا اٹھانا ایک طرف، وہ تماچے قتل محسن در جلانا کے طرف سب سے مشکل تھا مگر دربار جانا یا علی آج رخصت ہو رہی ہے تم سے زہرا یا علی آج رخصت ہو رہی ہے تم سے زہرا یا علی جب میری تلقین پڑھنا یاد کر لینا ذرا در کے گرنے سے میرا بازو بھی ہے ٹوٹا ہوا میرے شانوں کو ذرا دیر ہلانا یا علی آج رخصت ہو رہی ہے تم سے زہرا یا علی آج رخصت ہو رہی ہے تم سے زہرا یا علی صلوات علی محمد و آل محمد
فاطمہ کا بھرے مدینے میں غم بٹانے کوئی نہیں آیا در جلانے کو کلمہ گو آئے در جلانے کو کلمہ گو آئے گھر بچانے کوئی نہیں آیا کیا وہ اسلام کا ہی مرکز تھا کیا مدینہ تھا وہ محمد کا کیا وہ اسلام کا ہی مرکز تھا کیا مدینہ تھا وہ محمد کا لگ رہے تھے جہاں پہ زہرا کے تو زیانے کوئی نہیں آیا رسیاں تھی علی کی گردن میں اور بازار سے گزرتے تھے رسیاں تھی علی کی گردن میں اور بازار سے گزرتے تھے سب تماشائی بن کے تکتے رہے سب تماشائی بن کے تکتے رہے اور چھڑانے کوئی نہیں آیا در جلاکت ہو گئے محسن پسلیاں سیدہ کی ٹوٹ گئی در جلاکت ہو گئے محسن پسلیاں سیدہ کی ٹوٹ گئی، پھر بھی کہتے ہو تم کہ زہرا پر، پھر بھی کہتے ہو تم کہ زہرا پر ظلم ڈھانے کوئی نہیں آیا، خود ہی چننے لگی نبی زادی، بکھری تحریر اپنے بابا کی، خود ہی چننے لگی نبی زادی، بکھری تحریر اپنے بابا کی، مصطفیٰ کی سند کے ٹکڑوں کو، مصطفیٰ کی سند کے ٹکڑوں کو جب اٹھانے کوئی نہیں آیا، ہر ستم فاطمہ پہ ڈھایا گیا، جلتا دروازہ بھی گرایا گیا، ہر ستم فاطمہ پہ ڈھایا گیا، جلتا دروازہ بھی گرایا گیا، اپنے مہدی کو دی صدا اس نے، جب بچانے کوئی نہیں آیا۔
گم گشتہ مغاری محبت کجائی، کہاں جائے آخر بیابان ہر سو، شکستہ ہے پہلو اکیلی ہے زہرا، رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا سہرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، در فاطمہ کو چلایا ہے تم نے، کیا وعدہ اپنا بلایا ہے تم نے، تماچے نہ مارو مسلمانوں جاؤ، علی کو بلاؤ، اکیلی ہے زہرا، رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا سہرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، بیاں کس سے جا کر کروں درد اپنا، ہے غیروں کی دنیا نہیں کوئی اپنا، کوئی ہائے بابا سے کہہ دو یہ جا کر کہ لے جاؤ آ کر، اکیلی ہے زہرا، رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا سہرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، اے لختے جگر اے حسن ابن حیدر، یہ نانا کے پہلو میں سونی نہ دے में सो जाना माँ के बकी में यहाँ पर अकेली है ज़हरा कहाँ जाए आखिर बयाबान हर सू शिकस्ता है पहलू अकेली है ज़हरा शाह करबला ने कहाँ रोके माँ से ये मजलूम बेटे ने मजलूम माँ से अकेला हूँ मैं भी अकेली है ज़ैना अकेले है बाबा अकेली है ज़हरा रोने पे पहरा मसाइब का सहरा अकेली है ज़हरा अकेली है ज़हरा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القاعلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتحدون الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين صاحب العصر والزمان خليفة الرحمن إمام الإنس والجان ولعن الله أعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يوم ندعو كل أناس بإمامهم صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. First of all, we send our condolences to the Imam of our time, the Maraji, the Fuqaha, all of you and your respective families, on the Shahadat of Sayyida Fatima Zahra Salamullah alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our grief, accept our tears. May the mother of Imam Hussein be radhi with us. And may, inshallah, Allah give us no gham, no grief in this world except for that of Ali Muhammad. The attempt that I have been trying to make with all of you now for the past 5 nights is to look at this year's Fatimiyya through a lens that travels inward out. And perhaps let's move a little bit away from a historical discussion, or what might be a better way to say it is, to use the historical discussion to now create a transformational one, a revolutionary one, a one that is filled with change, where now we look at the circumstances under which our mother was brutally killed, and we tell ourselves, we ask ourselves, do we have elements of that inside of us? Go back all the way to my first lecture now 5 nights ago, where I talked about this idea that the studying of the lives of those before us, the stories inside the Quran of Nabi Musa alayhi salam, Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, Nabi Isa alayhi salam, and so on and so forth, Yaqub and Yusuf, all of these different discussions are not simply are not made to simply be a source of enjoyment or perhaps a storytelling moment. There is immense hikmat behind this. There's wisdom behind this. That wisdom is that while you are discussing the qualities of someone like Fir'aun, you're talking about the likes of Abu Lahab. You're talking about these individuals that were thorns in the side and the path of these great pious prophets. These are all meant to trigger and be a catalyst for something called muhasibah, a little bit of self-accountability. Now, Fatimiyya, as I said a few nights ago, invokes anger. It instigates this hatred we have. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. And all of it now led to a question I've been asking myself and all of you for the past 5 nights. Who is it that's leading us? Who have we allowed ourselves to be led by? Who is our imam, essentially? Because the verse of the verse of the Quran, or a portion of the verse that is the base of our discussion for the past 5 nights, have been revolving around Surah Isra, verse number 71, I believe, where Allah now says, look, on that day, Yawma, on the day of judgment, nad'u, we will call out, or we will invite, or we will elevate, or we will bring forward everyone, kullu inasir, who bi-imamihim, with their imam, with that person, with that entity, with those people that they were led by. These people who arrived at the door of Fatima were individuals who, quote-unquote, accepted the leadership of the Holy Prophet. Forget for a second Ghadir. Forget Imam Ali for a moment. Okay? That's secondary. We're not even there yet. Let's talk about the Prophet of Allah. Right? The problem that we have with Man kuntu mawla fahada aliyun mawla is not fahada aliyun mawla. Okay? The reason why they were so easily rejecting Imam Ali post-Holy Prophet was because of the level of commitment they had with the Prophet himself. First, let's establish Man kuntu mawla, am I not your leader? Or whoever I am the mawla of, whoever I am the wali of, whoever I am the hujjat of, whoever I am the sarparast of, whoever I am the authority for, fahada aliyun mawla, this Ali is the authority. But first, let's establish the authority and the leadership of Rasulullah. Then after that, Amir al-Mu'mineen. We're stuck on a discussion on why Amir al-Mu'mineen now should be the rightful successor. I'm sorry, that's going to go on deaf ears because these are people who haven't accepted the Prophet the way that he should have been accepted. Otherwise, they would not have ended up at the door of his beloved daughter. So yes, they might have accepted the Prophet as the seal of prophethood, but something else was leading them. They were being led by something else, be it their rage or be it their envy or be it whatever the case may be. They saw Fatima as a thorn. They saw Fatima as a barrier. They saw Fatima as a roadblock. They're trying to achieve A, and she keeps coming in and disrupting their plans. So what did they do? Ala hazmiha. Remember the statement that I delivered to all of you. That, and inshallah in today's Masai, we will talk about that. That when Imam Ali buries Sayyidah Fatima, turns to the Holy Prophet, says, she will tell you what your ummah did to her. Let her tell you that the entire ummah, your ummah, ummatika, the khutbah says, your ummah, what? Gathered against her. United against her, came together to do what? To remove her. Meaning, in that one statement, Imam Ali placed Fatima on the side of haqq and everybody else on the side of batil. Canceled them all in one beautiful, powerful, emotional statement by a man who was broken-hearted because he had to bury his wife so young. So when you are led by the wrong entity, you end up now becoming somebody that maybe even you can't recognize. That led us to a discussion on leadership, that led to a discussion on purpose, that led us to a discussion on the idea of our desire, and that leads us to tonight. Where now, look, Said Asad, I've established that I need to change. I have established the fact that this person, for example, is a person that is inside of me, that has a very, very strong grip on me, be it my desires, or be it my envy, or be it my hatred, or be it whatever the case may be, to the point where, like I said, I end up doing things that I can't even recognize. How do I change that? How do I change that? In light of the fact that today is her Shahadat day, and our tribute to her, our gift to her, our promise to Sayyidah Fatima is this commemoration that gets bigger and bigger every single year. And I pray for that day. That entire Ashra now is dedicated to this musibah. It's grand. It's Ashura-like. It deserves 10 nights. If not, let's combine the 2 dates together, have a 20-night majalis series. Dissecting her life, in the process now becoming better people. But today, on the day of her Shahadat, we make a promise. That promise is, I'm going to start the process of change. I've identified that I might verbally say, وَعَجِّلْ فَرَجَهُمْ. I might say verbally, may Allah hasten that reappearance, speed up that reappearance, rush that reappearance of Imam Zamana. But am I, me, Asad Jaffri, am I truly being led by the Imam or not? Have I allowed myself to be led by him or not? We have scary traditions and talk about the fact that when he comes back, there won't be a red carpet. Not by everybody. Sometimes by those people that maybe we expect there to be a red carpet for. I mean, they're ready and they'll welcome him. Sometimes those very same people might be a thorn in the side of the Imam. 18,000 letters. 18,000 letters begging Imam Hussein from the people of Kufa to be their leader. Come, we don't accept this man as our Khalifa. Come and be our leader. When it came time for them to be led by at least Muslim ibn Aqil, they were gone. So yes, on paper it looked great. We are your team, Mullah. We need your help, Mullah. Come and save us, Mullah. But when he sent his ambassador, they weren't willing to be led by him. Who was their Imam? Who is your Imam? Who is my Imam? I'm talking a big game up here. Who is my Imam? Let's talk a little bit about change. There are some of you, myself included, you've identified problems in your spirituality, holes in your path of faith. You've identified roadblocks and barriers. You've identified hesitations. You've identified the problem. I know what the issue is, Asad Bhai. How do I solve it? Okay, let's go through that, a few things inshallah, and then Masaib. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil. The first thing that I want all of us to realize, and I'm in this game with you, I'm in this process with you, I'm in this whole activity with you. These 2 years of this pandemic has been eye-opening for me when it came to myself. I didn't realize how many triggers and trauma and issues I have growing up that have now come up and made their way up into my emotions and my psyche and my mindset. The first thing I'm going to tell all of you, and again, I talk to myself up here, recapture the power of change. Recapture it. The power of change is inside of you. If it's the one thing you control, it's you. If it's the one thing that you have complete authority over, it's you. We talked about free will, right? Remember that discussion, the necessity of evil. There's evil all around us in the form of people, family, in-laws, spouses, siblings, cousins, community members, friends, you name it. Lots of evil around. Lots of chatter, right? Lots of people who are waiting for people to mess up, and there goes the BBC, WhatsApp groups explode. These people have nothing better to do than sit there and make up stories and, character assassination, and there's lots of that outside. The problem is that sometimes we give those people too much power over us. So we end up actually making our change contingent on people outside of us. That look, Maulana, when my mother-in-law will begin to show change, I'll change. When my sister or brother will begin to change, then I'll change. When I get that sorry from them, when I get that acceptance from them, when they stop being so toxic, then I'll begin my own personal change. Before that, I can't do it. She brings out the worst in me. He triggers me. That, you know, my in-laws are horrible with me, blah, blah, blah. And we've taken the ownership of change and we've given it to somebody else. Meanwhile, you know, the person who's being affected is me. My sleep is out the window. My diet is out the window. I have no confidence now. I have social anxiety. COVID now keeps coming in and out, variant after variant, lockdown after lockdown, open, close, open, close. It's been a roller coaster for many of us. A lot of this could be prevented if we take back the power of change. I can't change her tongue. I can't change the glances that she gives me. I can't change her passive-aggressive comments. I can't change his little jabbing comments. I can't change their toxicity. I can't change all. I can't. I don't have control over them. I mean, I'm not pulling the strings, right? I don't. I do have change over myself. How now I take those things, how I navigate through these things is up to me. Recapture that. Don't give that to anybody and everybody. It doesn't matter if it's your own spouse, your own parents, your own siblings. Don't give them that control. Okay? Once you recapture that control, begin to identify your triggers. There are people, young and old, I'm sorry, and if my elders are sitting there in their living room or wherever they're sitting and they're listening to me, please, I ask you humbly as a son of yours to listen to what I'm saying. These are new discussions for all of you. You have come from a childhood back home in Africa and India, Pakistan, wherever you're from, where you were never told to look inwards and ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? Why am I snapping? What is it about this statement or that comment or this word or this person that brings out the worst in me? And you might think, no one's ever asked me to sit there and do a little bit of muhasabah and accountability. I'm asking you tonight, in the name of Sayyida Fatima, to do that. Ask yourself, what is it that pushes my buttons? Why is it that when this person brings up this topic, I either want to get upset, or I want to grab a bucket of ice cream, or I want to binge watch something on Netflix, or I just want to numb it, but I don't want to face it. Sometimes certain words, guys, certain words are heard by us and we go haywire. Sometimes when that person, whoever that person is in my presence, I'm somebody else. I come back from an event where that person was there and I just want to binge this, binge that, numb that. Identify that. Identify those triggers. Wait a second, I'm not hungry. Why do I have a tub of ice cream right now in front of me? Why did I just order a large pizza? Why am I having this bucket of wings right now, 11 o'clock at night? I'm not hungry. I'm full. What am I trying to cover and numb? Why do I keep watching and watching and watching and watching? Next episode, we let it go. Next episode, we let it go. Identify those triggers. There are a lot of my parents out there that when a certain conversation begins in their home, boom, they lose themselves. Sad phir jata unka. They go like what happened all of a sudden? I'm asking you to identify that. That only happens, recapture. Recapture that control. Okay? Your personal growth, let me make this statement to myself, all of you. Put it somewhere in your heart, in your mind, engrave it somewhere. Your personal growth, your elevation, your change is not contingent and dependent on any external source. Be it a person, be it a word, be it a place, be it the mirror, I don't care. It's not contingent on that. Stop telling yourself, I will change when so-and-so changes. I will fix myself when they fix themselves, especially my married couples out there. When he begins to change, I'll change. When she begins to get better, I'll get better. I know sometimes there are some of you out there as spouses that you carry the load of the entire marriage. I get it. It's tiresome. It's draining. It's the only thing you have control over. There's nothing more frustrating sometimes than to want to be inside the brain of somebody and think to myself, what are you thinking? I would love to know what you're thinking. Why is this not easy for you? I just want to shake you, and you can't. And that adds to your frustration. Meanwhile, they're going on with their day like nothing's happening. You have to recapture your control. You can't control them. You're not a mind reader. You can't influence them. You can change yourself. Surah Ra'ad, verse number 11. In a very famous way, Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah does not change a person, a qawm, a nation, حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ, until they change themselves. Meaning what? Allah says, if you want change on the outside, begin to change on the inside. Now what ends up happening is the frustration that person A, person B, person C now creates will have a very minimal effect on you. They'll do what they do best. They're toxic, they're damaging, they're controlling, they make, passive-aggressive comments, they make pinching comments, they poke and prod and sit there and pick at me, and they want a reaction, and I'm not giving them the reaction. Who's in control? You're in control. The same control you would relinquish time and time again, now you've recaptured it. God says, I won't change you until you look inwards. Recapture that. Recapture that change. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. If in these past 4 nights we talked about the fact that yes, the wrong person is leading me. I'm saying yes, sir, and labbaik to the wrong entity inside of me. Remember our discussion on desire. Remember the idea that this faculty of desire, when it goes to the excessive level, it can be this, this gluttonous greed we have inside of us that simply will never be fulfilled. It won't be fulfilled. We don't want that to happen. Because when we begin to lose ourself, and that's what happens, when we relinquish our power to somebody else, we've lost ourself. All we have control over, I'll say it again and again, is us. That's the only power we have. I wish I can control the tongue of somebody else. I wish I could control the glances. I wish I can control the evilness of somebody else, be it my own family, my in-laws, I don't know, my spouse, my siblings, my cousins. I can't control them. And that's why in Surah Hashr, Allah says, don't be like those. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Don't be like those who have forgotten Allah, forsaken Allah, to the point فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. Allah has made them forget about themselves. To forget God is to forget yourself. To remember God is to remember yourself. When you regain the control that you have over yourself, you're now regaining that path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You absolutely are. And it is a process. Excuse me. It's a process. Okay? We have to embrace the process. Processes sometimes have their long days, their short days, their ups and their downs. They slow down, they speed up, they pull over, they stop. It's a whole journey. Right? You drive across Europe, for example. There'll be moments where you stop, you pull over, you fill up on gas, you put some gas in, maybe you stop over for a coffee, let's say, for example, right? Or you just kind of let the car rest for half an hour and pray salat, rest a little bit, then you keep going. This journey of change is a lifelong journey. There'll be days where you feel like, you know what, I don't want to change, okay. But then there'll be days where you're like, what am I doing? I've given them too much control. And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to take the high road. It's hard to be the bigger person. It's hard to always do the right thing. It's very easy to lower yourself to somebody who is, who's already at that level. But I have news for you. If you have an ounce of goodness and you try to sit there and battle with a narcissist or someone who is low or someone who's toxic, you'll never win that battle. In the process now, I've allowed myself to lower myself to a level I never imagined I would be. So now I've lost the game, and I have this immense regret and remorse. What am I doing? Am I really this person? You're not this person. You're not this person. So you're always going to lose that game because you don't know how to play the game. They've mastered the game. They know what words to say. They know when to ignore. They know when to poke. They know when. You're not like that. That's why you have to be a little bit fair on yourself. There'll be moments where you say, you know what, I'm done. I want to pack it in. I'm finished. They've beaten me down. Either it's a desire inside of me or some person outside of you. We all have toxic people inside of our life. If they were strangers, even friends, we can walk away from. That's easy. The hard part is when they're family. Toxic family is one of the biggest tests that we have. Kya karu bhai? Jahan bhi jao, he's there. Wherever I go, she's there. Every ghar ka mahfil, she's there. He is there. I can't run for her. I have to face her. You do have to face her. and face him. Either you play the game and you lose that game because you don't know how to play, or you sit there and say, you know what? You've won. I'm pulling myself out of the game. That's what I mean by being fair to yourself. Is it hard? It absolutely is hard. Look at this hadith by Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. He says, Inna subbirun. Allahu Akbar. This is a powerful hadith. I've read this hadith, I think, years ago in Dearborn, Detroit, Michigan, in the U.S. Inna subbirun. We, the Ahl Bayt, are very, very patient. If you know a little bit of Arabic, you know, subbirun, sigha mubaligha, is this exaggeration. And I don't mean in a lie. I mean, it's this idea that, you know, there's a continuous form to it. Like, for example, sajda, to prostrate. Sajid, the one who prostrates. Sajjad, the one who prostrates a lot or continuously prostrates, right? Imam Sajjad is known as that because he was in Al-Abidin. Sajid is the one who does sajda. Sajjad is the one, right? There's sabr, patience. There's sabir, the one who's patient. Or sabira is also a patient female or sister. Subbirun is someone who is very patient. Constantly patient. Imam Sadiq says, Inna subbirun. We are very patient. Wa shi'atuna asburu minna. Oh. And our Shi'as are more patient than we are. Look at what he's saying. I ask all of you in the name of this Fatimiyya, there are many of you right now who are struggling in your life. You're going through a nasty divorce. You and your husband and wife are not on the same page. You're surrounded by toxic people. You have zero self-confidence. Just lost your job. You lost your baby. I don't know what it is. This pandemic has not been good for you. You're scratching rock bottom. You're doing it all by yourself. You're putting on a brave front for your family, but in your heart of your hearts, there's shattered pieces inside of you. Listen to this hadith. It's a gift from Sayyidah Fatima to all of you as a healing process. Allow yourself to be healed by Fatima. Allahu Akbar. Inna subbirun wa shi'atuna asburu minna. But my Shias are more patient than we are. Now, the companions that are sitting there, may God bless you. Thank you for asking these questions. I would have asked the same question. How? Yabna Rasulullah, how do you claim that we, your Shias, are more patient than you? Does that mean that my Asad Jaffri, my measly problems now are bigger than Day of Ashura? Of course not. That's not what he's saying. That's not what I'm suggesting either. That's not what I'm suggesting. Don't take it the wrong way. He says, Nasburu ala ma na'lamu. وَالشِّيعَتُنَا يَصْبُرُونَ عَلَى مَا لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Allahu Akbar. He says, Imam Salih answers the question. He says, we are patient because of the fact that we know what follows our patience. We know what's going to happen next. But our Shias, يَصْبِرُونَ عَلَى مَا لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. They are patient without knowing what will happen afterwards. You're talking to a potential spouse, it's going very well, you think you're on the verge of an announcement, it breaks apart, falls through. This is after years and years of possibly finding the right person. You were emotionally invested. You let them into a little bit of your world, and it breaks apart for whatever reason. And you're told what? You're told, be patient. There's more guys out there. There's a girl out there for you. Be patient. Do you have any idea? Has anyone ever told you? Yeah, Asad, yeah. Broken engagement right now, but don't worry. April of 2022, inshallah, you'll have a new person. This person will blow you out of the water. Is anyone calling me, telling me that? No. Do I know what's going to happen? No idea. I don't have ilm ghaib. I don't have the unseen knowledge. That's Allah. وَعِنْدُهُ مَفَاتِحُ الْغَيْبِ. He has the keys of the unseen, right? So I'm told to be patient. What do? I'm patient. Why? That's what I should do. I should be patient. The one thing that this hadith tells me, and I'm talking a mile a minute right now. I'm screaming at the camera, and I wish I was there in front of you. You could feel my energy right now. The only thing I want you to get from this hadith is that your imam, your ma'soom imam, the sixth imam, that same imam that this Jaffri fiqh is actually named after, all he's saying to you, the brokenhearted, we the Ahlul Bayt get it. We get it. Let me tell you a very simple story from my own personal life. Okay? And I have tied this story to this hadith before as well. And a lot of you can relate. I come from a typical immigrant family. My parents migrated to Toronto in the early 70s from Karachi, from Pakistan. So it was a typical immigrant household. I mean, wasn't a lot of affection, wasn't a lot of way to go, son, good job, pat in the back. No, I mean, and that's okay. They were in survival mode, my parents. Their love was the fact that I had a fresh meal almost every day. Their love was the fact that I had a bed to sleep on and clothes on my back. Their love was that I took you school shopping every single summer. You buy new pencils and new markers. That was their love. Am I expecting a heart-to-heart from my dad from Karachi? No, I wasn't. Didn't have the verbiage. Didn't have the language. If you ask him, he's far ahead of what his father did with him. And I'll never forget one day, true story. My father and I were driving to the Shabi Jummah program, the Thursday night program, at our local center. A lot of you ask me wherever I go that what is it that pushed me towards the Hawza. Okay, I was an IT guy, as you guys know, working corporate, blah blah blah, this and that. I went very late in my life to the Hawza. Okay? There are young guys right now out there in the Tabligh circuit and speaking who, mashallah, have mastered the deen. And here I am in my white beard just struggling to get anything out of my mouth. I went quite late. And I don't know the answer to the question that you guys asked me, what is it that triggered you or what is that inspired you to go to the Hawza? I have no clue how to answer that question. I never do, I never will. But what I do know is I had this immense love for my center, immense love for my masjid, my building. And what got me in love with my community were Thursday nights. Thursday nights was the favorite night of the week for me. It still is right now. I love and continue to love Thursday nights. Something about Dua Kamel that rocks my core. The whole process of going to the center, 2 hours tops, right? Between the Yasin and half an hour reminder from the Alim, Dua Kamel, a little bit of chai. Oh, that Thursday night chai, I tell you, it's from the heavens, man. And a little bit of croissant, maybe a little bit of muffin, blah, 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 this and that. It was perfect. I would oftentimes remember the drive from my home to the center. Exactly 12 minutes. One Thursday night. Me and my father alone. I was now in university. Okay? I was a little bit older now, good looking guy, nice beard, right? Was a little bit black now, I had a little bit more hair in my head, right? Young, dapper Asad Jaffri. Oh, God, what happened? No idea. Masayib started early, ya Allah. Anyways, so we start talking, my father and I. And there were moments where my father would let me into his world, meaning he would be a little bit now open to conversation. And that's when I had to strike, meaning I had to tell him things I've always wanted to tell him. Not in a rude way, just. So I remember telling him that, Dad, do you understand how hard it is to go through high school here in the West? Are you aware of the challenges that we face on a daily basis in a 4-year high school program in Toronto? I was now second year university, right, going towards my undergrad. And you know what he said to me? He goes, "What, you think I don't know. You think I'm foolish. You don't think I know the fact that you graduated from high school not being a drug addict, not being an alcoholic, not being a father, not being an addict, not smoking, never. Didn't do one cigarette, one drug, and he never spent anything on me. I never smoked it. Didn't do any of that stuff." He goes, "You don't think I realize that what a huge blessing it is for me to have kids to come out of this high school and not to be a criminal, for example? Never got a call from the cops, come and bail your son out. Never found you, face down, drunk on the sidewalk. Never found you OD'd somewhere. Never reeking of this drug or that drug. Of course I understand how hard it is. And yes, I'm proud of the fact that my kids," and he said that to me. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? I'm proud of my kids that they came out of high school. I was like, whoa. I'm telling you guys, we're talking about over 20 years ago, this conversation. I can remember the color of the car I was in, what I was wearing. I can remember how I felt. Because at that moment, my dad said, "You know what? I said, I get it. I get how hard you worked in high school." Imam Sadiq is saying, "I get the fact that what you're going through is so difficult right now, but know that we see it. And we are the awliya of Allah. If we see it, God sees it. Be fair to yourself. It's a process. Change is a process. It's very hard. It's not easy. There'll be days where you're flying. There'll be days where you will halt. And you might even crash on that day. It's okay. It's okay. Look, again, I'll give you one more example, one small verse of the Quran, and then Masayib, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, please. Allahumma salli ala. I oftentimes talk about my camps here in Toronto, not my camps, the camps that I used to attend, initially as a camper and later on as an alim in Toronto. We haven't, of course, gone because of COVID in the past couple of years, but the annual big event of our youth committee across the Toronto area is a camp. We take the kids 4 hours north of Toronto, beautiful campsite, 75, 80 youth, 5 ulama, 5 days, 4 nights, beautiful retreat, campfires, discussions, sports, you name it. I'll never forget one campsite. It was an island. We actually we took a boat to the campsite. It was a beautiful campsite. And they had canoes. So we would, once a day, we would canoe. And then after we were done, the sisters would canoe. We'd go back inside. So the instructor is telling us how to get in the canoe, how to row with 2 people. If your canoe flips in the water, how to unflip it, okay? So we learned all that, life jackets on, we paired up with a couple people, I'm in my canoe, and we start to go around the island, and we actually do a little bit of a race, okay? First guy back around the island, first boat wins, okay? You get extra gravy for dinner, I don't know, okay. So now we're around the bend of the island, halfway around our route, and of course we see a couple of boats that are flipped in the water, and the guys are in the water. Now some guys flipped on purpose because they want to be in the water. That's fine. But the boat flipped. Now, Does anyone ever tell those guys, take your canoe, go back to your starting point and start fresh? No. It says, look, stop right there, unflip your boat, get in your boat, and resume from where you flipped. Just because you flipped your boat does not mean you've lost all your progress. In this process of change, there'll be moments where you have a bad day, where you think you might be regressing back to your old ways, where you think, you know what, it's just, I was momentum, I was flying, and then I had this one setback. The setback does not cancel all the progress you've made before. Don't let Shaitan do that to you. Don't let him tell you, oh, you start from the beginning. No, you don't start from the beginning. All of that canoeing you did halfway around the island is still there. You've earned that. You flipped your boat, fine, it's okay. Unflip it, get back on, and keep going. You've had a rough day, go back to Allah, astaghfirullah rabbi wa atubu ilayh, and move on. It's a process. A process that Imam Sadiq knows how difficult it is. A process that is contingent on your capacity and my capacity. Quick verse from the story of Nabi Musa alayhi salam. Okay? Surah Shu'ara, verse number 63. Let me set it up for you, okay? Very quickly now. Okay? Quickly now. I could talk for hours. I'll cut it short. It's been over half an hour already in my lecture. So this verse is at that portion of the story now where the men of Fir'aun now are chasing Nabi Musa and the Bani Israel tribe. And they've been told by Fir'aun, if you catch them, kill them. I'm done negotiating with Musa. He's now caused havoc inside of my kingdom. I need him gone. So now Nabi Musa is on the run. And he gets to the sea, this massive body of water. In front of him, a massive body of water. Behind him, approaching fast, are the men of Fir'aun. And he has this Bani Israel tribe that is constantly doubting him, looking at Nabi Musa saying, okay, now what? Now what? So at that moment that Nabi Musa now receives a wahi, Surah Al-Shu'ara, verse number 63. فَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى. We reveal to Musa. What do? Walk into the ocean, right? أَنِضْرِبْ بِعَصَاكَ الْبَحْرِ. Go into the sea now, a few steps. Take your asa and idhrib, strike it on the ground. When he does that, it parts. It parts to the point where the verse ends off by saying, فَانْفَلَكَ فَكَانَ كُلَّ فِرْقًا كَتَوْدِ الْعَظِيمِ. Whereupon it parted, the sea parted, each part of it as if it was a great and grand mountain. Imagine now, and you've seen, I'm sure, the visuals in the various movies that are made by Nabi Musa, about Nabi Musa, strikes the staff, and the water parts, and two massive mountains of water now stand in between the path for Nabi Musa and his people. The question I have for you is, did Allah require Nabi Musa to strike the staff? Was that contingent? Was his power, meaning, is it possible for us to say that Allah could not have done that without the striking of the staff of Nabi Musa? No, we don't believe that. Allah does not need anything like that. Allah is not dependent on the striking of the staff. No. He could have parted that sea without Nabi Musa's staff. Then why would he reveal that to Nabi Musa? Tafsir now has talked about that. One beautiful point I want to make that is related to our topic, and then Masayib, is that he's telling Nabi Musa, you do what's in your power. I'll do what's in my power. If all you can do is strike your staff with, meaning strike your stick with yaqeen, with certainty, I'll do the rest. In this process of change, you do what you can. And be true to yourself. Be true to the process. Be true to yourself. And you watch how God sometimes takes over. He is the one that creates the impossible out of the impossible. Or creates the possible out of the impossible. literally splitting a sea in half, closing it back down onto Fir'aun. So my beloved sisters and brothers from the Al-Zahra community, from my beloved Stanmore community, how I wish I could have been there for the past 5 nights, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there. Inshallah, one day, someday soon, I'll be in your presence. But know and understand that this process, this Fatimiyya, is about transformation and revolution. Reset yourself. Reform yourself. Okay? Do a reboot of yourself. And when you have and you've identified that these are my pain points and my problem areas, begin the process of change. I mean, and there's so much more to talk about. It's entire Ashra, no doubt. Enough to know that you have that power inside of you. Don't relinquish that to anybody who's toxic, who won't help you in the process. In fact, might even add to it as they go on. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala. The day of the Shahadat of Sayyidah Fatima is upon us, and we wish we could grieve with the Imam of our time. We wish we could dry his tears. We wish we could cry with him, beside him, with him, in our presence. Sayyidah Fatima's wasiyat and her final wishes were, Ali, you give ghusl to my body. Ali, you wrap my body in a coffin. Ali, bury me in the middle of the night at this disclosed location. Ali, I don't want everybody and anybody at my mayyat and my funeral. As I said last night, Amir al-Mu'mineen, my Mazloom Imam washes the body of his wife, realizing the extent of her injuries. And just like she asked, the mayyat was taken out of the home in the middle of the night. The rest of Medina was sleeping. A handful of his companions were there. After burying his wife, he then turns to the Holy Prophet, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. I'm giving you back your amanat. You gave me Fatima to look after her. When you gave her to me, she was sahih and salim. Now I'm giving you back to her, and her Muslim is shaheed. Her ribs are broken. Her cheeks are bruised. She will tell you what her ummah did to her. I want you to, this is the day to pick up khutbah 202 of Nahj al-Balagha. Now my husbands and who are listening to me, sometimes we think that this, this verbiage to express the love that you have for your wife is all Hollywood and Bollywood made, and there's no place for it in the deen and blah, 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 and this and that. And you could not be any more wrong about that. Pick up this khutbah, pick up this sermon, feel the pain of a husband who just lost his beloved, who just buried his beloved with broken ribs in the middle of the night. Half of the grieving for any spouse when they lose another spouse is the fact that there are so many people here at the janazah, at the mayyat, helping to bury your beloved, consoling you and looking after you, making sure that you don't do a single thing. We have everything covered. We'll wash their body, we'll wrap their body, we'll bury them, we'll have someone else recite talqeen. I don't know about all of you in London. In Toronto, we don't even let them pick the shovel up to put the dirt on the coffin. We say, no, you relax, you look after your small children. We will do all that for you. There's a small Hassan, a small Hussein, a small Zainab, a small Kulsum. All of them are now becoming yatim today. Their mother is leaving this world. This lone Ali now is standing there telling them that my nights now have no sleep left in them. My days have no calmness in them. Fatima was my love. I'm sending her now back to the Holy Prophet. Let her tell you how the Ummah now joined against her to remove her. Let her tell you the pain that your Ummah caused. At that moment, the next day inside Medina, word spread that Fatima was buried, that Fatima's janazah was done, that there was Salatul Mayyat, and everybody now there's uproar. How could it be? The daughter of the Holy Prophet now was buried. We weren't even in the namaz mayyat. We weren't even there in the janazah. What would that look like? No, absolutely not. They would go back to Ali and say, no, this was wrong. Allow us now to give her the proper burial rites, blah, blah, blah. Even to the point where one man possibly suggested, let's dig her back up and lay her out, this and that, so we could also now perform the proper burial rites. That moment that he heard that, the moment somebody suggested that any sort of disrespect to Fatima's grave would be done, that's when the Zulfiqar came out. This man stood there in front of the Ummah. If anyone touches the grave of my wife, I will make you apart the ground that you stand on. Hey Mawla, the only thing I'll tell you is the sheer suggestion that somebody might disrespect the body of your wife, and so much Jalal that Zulfiqar came out. Come on the day of Ashura, Mawla, your beloved son Hussein, 10 different horses on both his sides. Umar ibn Saad signals the horses, 5 from the right, 5 from the left. Your Hussein is being trampled. If only you were there on Ashura, you could have stopped that disrespect of the body of your son. Matam Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
Sayyada Tahira, Sayyada Tahira, مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر، مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر، زہرا کا در جلا کر، زہرا کا در جلا کر، زہرا پہ در گرا کر، مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر، تربت سے فاطمہ کی آتی یہی صدا ہے، پہلو سے ہاتھ میرا اب تک نہیں ہٹا ہے، مہدی مجھے سنبھالو، مہدی مجھے سنبھالو، غیبت سے جلد آ کر، مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر، دربار سے ضعیفہ گھر کی طرف چلی ہے، اللہ ہی جانتا ہے کتنی دفعہ گری ہے، لائے ہیں اپنے گھر تک، لائے ہیں اپنے گھر تک، حسنین خود اٹھا کر، مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر، کہہ کے یتیم خود کو شبیر جب کہ روئے، دو ہاتھ فاطمہ کے بندھے کفن سے نکلے، سینے پہ روئی اپنے، سینے پہ روئی اپنے، شبیر کو سلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر، ظالم کا تازیانہ جس ہاتھ پر لگا ہے وہ ہاتھ فاطمہ کا اٹھ ہی نہیں رہا ہے، پڑھتی ہے اب نمازیں، پڑھتی ہے اب نمازیں، ایک ہاتھ ہی اٹھا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر، پہلو میں درد اتنا سہ کر تڑپ رہی ہے، چلنا بھی اب ہے مشکل، اٹھ اٹھ کے گر رہی ہے، چلتی ہے ایک شانہ، چلتی ہے ایک شانہ، دیوار سے لگا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر، منظر بڑا کٹھن تھا جس دم لگا تماچا، سر بنت مصطفیٰ کا دیوار سے لگا تھا، منہ پیٹتے تھے حیدر، منہ پیٹتے تھے حیدر، آنکھوں سے خون بہا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر، ہلنے لگا نبی کا اس دم مزار آسی، زہرا لحد پہ آ کر رو رو کے جب پکاری، چہرے کے نیل دیکھو، چہرے کے نیل دیکھو، بابا ردا ہٹا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر، ہے مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر۔
یا فاطمہ زہرا سینے میں لیے رنج و علم کرب و بلا کا، یا فاطمہ زہرا بابا سے ہے ملنے کو چلی ام ابیہا، یا فاطمہ زہرا آنکھوں سے لہو بہتا ہے، پہلو ہے شکستہ، یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا، 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 امت نے بہت آپ کو تر پایا ہے بی بی، ہر حق کے لیے آپ کو ترسایا ہے بی بی، غاصب نے جو دربار میں بلوایا ہے بی بی، اس دکھ سے لرزنے لگا خود عرش خدا کا، یا ام ابیہا، یا فاطمہ زہرا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا شبیر کی دنیا میں ولادت سے بھی پہلے کہتی تھی یہ زہرا کہ بہت سہتی حسد میں بچائے میرا خوک میں بے چین بہت ہے بچہ میرا کہتا ہے کہ اماں میں ہوں پیاسا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا ماں کھانا کھلاتی ہے تو پھر کھاتے ہیں بچے جاتی ہے جہاں ماں وہیں آ جاتے ہیں بچے بن ماں کے کبھی چین نہیں پاتے ہیں بچے کام آتا ہے بچوں کے بہت ماں کا سہارا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا سینے میں ازل سے ہی میرے کرب و بلا ہے جاتے ہوئے زہرا نے یہ دنیا سے کہا ہے کیا شام میں ہونا ہے یہ سب مجھ کو پتا ہے تپتے ہوئے صحرا میں ہے شبیر کا لاشا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا دنیا سے چلی کہتی ہوئی بنت پیمبر غم کرب و بلا کا ہے لیے یہ دل مضطر آتا ہے تصور میں میرے شام کا منظر اللہ رکھے زینب و کلثوم کا پردہ یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا ماؤں سے عزاداروں کی زہرا نے کہا ہے عاشور کے مقصد کا بھرم تم نے رکھا ہے بچوں کو عزاداری پر قربان کیا ہے محشر میں چکاؤں گی میں قرضہ یہ تمہارا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا امت نے بہت آپ کو تر پایا ہے بی بی ہر حق کے لیے آپ کو ترسایا ہے بی بی غاصب نے جو دربار زهرا يا أم أبيها يا فاطمة زهرا يا أم أبيها يا فاطمة زهرا يا أم أبيها يا فاطمة زهرا 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 يا فاطمة زهرا.
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
زيارة السيدة فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. السلام عليك يا سيدتي نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا والدة الحجج على الناس أجمعين. السلام عليك أيتها المظلومة الممنوعة حقها. اللهم صل على أمتك وابنة نبيك وزوجة وصي نبيك صلاة تزلفها فوق زلفى عبادك المكرمين من أهل السماوات وأهل الأرضين ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى أم المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذريتك علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن عجل الله فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم
قل لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها